Iran just told Trump they're done negotiating.
Warning this morning telling Fox that Iran should wave the white flag.
The president's comments come as the U.S. 60-day ceasefire agreement with Iran is set to expire today.
Wow.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. Today, the 60-day memorandum of understanding between the United States and
memorandum
Iran
that
expires.
they violated
and Fox
immediately.
News spoke with the president early this morning to get his thinking on what comes next. The president told Fox News that Iran should put up the white flag of surrender. And he went on to say, I have no time schedule. I'm not in a hurry. The president talking broadly about the back channel negotiations that are taking place and confirming to Fox that there is a back channel directly between Washington and top IRGC officials in Tehran. This is all moving very quickly in the region because there is a U.S. military posture that remains, and there are a lot of different players involved, and talks that are taking place as we speak right now between Iran and Oman about control of the Strait of Hormuz. And the president says if Oman gets in the way, we'll bomb them. Because at the end of the day, the president wants two clear things here. He wants control of the Strait of Hormuz. There is an ongoing U.S. naval blockade that is costing the Iranian regime hundreds of millions of dollars each day. And if ultimately this leads to future negotiations, that is when Iran's nuclear program is expected to be discussed.
So it almost sounds like things are now happening in reverse order, but the most important objective here is that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. That objective, many people think, has already been accomplished. There is some remaining material, but maybe you've noticed a new tactic has come out of nowhere, that Iran can win this thing because the U.S. military doesn't have what it takes because it's already defeating itself. Watch.
A shocking new report that multiple sailors aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln have tried to jump overboard amid poor conditions and mental stress on the ship. This is according to new reporting from the Military Times, which spoke to the wife of one of those sailors, who says she's spoken to her husband only a handful of times since he tried to jump. He is now on a medical hold.
Reports of poor conditions on the USS Abraham Lincoln leading to fallout in Washington. The 5,000 sailors and Marines have been at sea for a record 268 days. Some aboard the ship telling CNN,
I haven't stepped off the ship in the year 2026.
The Military Times is also reporting severe food shortages on board. And that sailors are running out of just basic needs: toothpaste, deodorant, soap. This crew has been at sea for 9 months.
So CNN is out there saying that the conditions on our aircraft carriers are so bad, there is no way the United States has what it takes. And they're saying this month that there's no food on board the ship, but last month CNN was on the ship and they were eating the food. Look at this.
These warships and spoke to the commanding officer.
One fighter jet after another takes off from the USS Abraham Lincoln. Overnight missions amid rising tensions with Iran. We're in the Gulf of Oman, near the Strait of Hormuz, aboard a ship President Trump says has been attacked more than 100 times since the conflict began.
And they've tried with missiles and with drones.
Yep, everything they've thrown at us hasn't really gotten near us at all.
So the new story is that our troops have already been defeated. They're starving. They have nothing. But a month ago, everything was fine. What changed over the last month? You know what changed over the last month? The economic campaign of this began, and that's something Iran is really afraid of.
With Iran being to the north, they're always on the lookout for all kinds of threats. Have you had any close calls?
My flight really starts at that Iranian coastline and comes all the way back. I don't wait for
She's talking to the whole ship.
Back on the Abraham Lincoln, it can be tough to keep spirits high for the nearly 5,000 people here. Because of its limited port visits, the Navy considers this deployment among the longest consecutive days at sea for any aircraft carrier.
I mean, I haven't stepped off the ship in the year 2026.
Most have been here more than 6 months, under threat and missing their families.
What kind of toll does that take on you personally?
It's tough. I said I had my first kid born in February, so very excited to get home, meet her.
You've never met your daughter?
Nope.
She was born right around when this conflict started.
Now, This is why every single member of our military is an American hero, because they are sacrificing everything. They are putting their lives aside so that you and I can live our lives. And the idea that the U.S. military is falling apart, that disparages the great work that these men and women do. Are people in perfect spirits on these ships? No, absolutely not. But is there some mass catastrophe? Is the U.S. military imploding as we're being led to believe? No, that's not what's happening at all. In fact, the opposite of that is true. It is Iran that is having difficulty dealing with this military blockade, this wall of steel, and it's doing things to their economy. They're going to wrap this whole thing up, which I guess some people don't want to see happen, especially the regime, and especially people that might want to put out positive press for them to make it look like Trump has lost and that the midterms should go to the communists.
Trey, the president has said the soldiers and the police are not getting paid in Iran. The current sanctions are costing Iran $435 million a day, it's being estimated. So how are the people surviving?
Where's the report on that?
Are they speaking out and saying that this is not fair, we need to get paid?
I'm sure they are.
It's a great question, and I've been talking with regional intelligence sources to get a better understanding of what these economic sanctions and the U.S. naval blockade are actually doing to Iran. We know that the blockade is costing the regime hundreds of millions of dollars each day because the Iranians are not able to export crude oil from these critical ports along the Persian Gulf and into the Strait of Hormuz. But it's the economic sanctions that are expected to increase, according to U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. And when you have to think about sanctions, you look at this like an onion. And at the center of the onion, you have the U.S. naval blockade. And this is targeting Iran's main moneymaker, and that is their oil export apparatus. But then you have these secondary sanctions, and reports indicate they're going to start targeting even some of these Chinese companies that are buying Iranian oil. And so this is focusing mainly on the Iranian regime and officials in Tehran that use this money not only to produce missiles and drones, but also to pay top IRGC officials.
So we're supposed to believe U.S. soldiers who are paid and are well-fed and are in the best military and the best Navy to ever bless the seas with its presence, that they're collapsing. Morale is in the tank. They're starving. There's no food. They all just want to abandon ship. And at the same time, that in Iran, where there is a blockade, and there are people who aren't getting paid, and there are people who sadly don't have enough to eat, everything's fine. Morale couldn't be higher. They're not worried about Trump. They're going to outlast Trump. In fact, Iran is actually stronger than it's ever been. That's the other half of this. They keep saying Iran is stronger than it's ever been, and the U.S. military is weaker than it's ever been. Like, this is a scam. And it's a scam meant to get you to think that this whole thing is a fool's errand, when here we are at the oil prices. Where is the catastrophe for the U.S. economy? It's not materializing. There is no data to back up what these people are saying. And look at how many ships and personnel the United States has. 50,000 personnel, an entire armada of ships. Is it possible to find a situation that may have been unfavorable on one of those ships that caused one person to have a problem that is now getting treated and they're now getting help? I'm sure it is. Things are not perfect. This is an active combat zone. People don't want to be in an active combat zone forever. But the idea that things are collapsing here for the U.S., I mean, there's zero proof of that. All the proof we have is that things in Iran are about to get even tighter. Look at this. Experts predict more sanctions on countries that do business with Iran and buy things from them, including any company or group insuring or shipping Iranian oil, like a global bank, a currency exchange, commodity traders, shippers, etc., including the targeting of global ports, a foreign port that facilitates trade and transactions with shipping companies that transit Iranian ports, could be targeted. That's going to totally rewrite what's happening over there, and that's not all that's going on. Look, but just before we continue, this is a paid advertisement for Rumble Wallet, who's sponsoring this portion of the show. What if your bank told you no to your own money? Delayed transfers, frozen accounts, unexpected limits. It happens more often than you think. That's exactly why crypto exists. It gives you control, not partial control, actual ownership. But most people never try it because it feels complicated. That's where Rumble Wallet comes in. Yes, it's a wallet where you can store your crypto, but it's so much more than that. You can buy crypto in minutes, send it wherever you want, or cash out at any time. No waiting around and wondering when your money will clear. It connects with MoonPay, so you can add your debit card, card, credit card, or bank account and be up and running fast. And inside the wallet, you can choose what you want: Bitcoin, dollar-backed stable coins, or even digital gold backed by real gold. And check this out, for a limited time, you can start your wallet with $20 in US stablecoin USAT for tipping Rumble creators like me by entering my exclusive promo code CashJordan20 when you sign up right now. So scan the QR code or follow the link in the description of this video and try it for yourself. And don't forget to use my promo code CashJordan20 and claim $20 for tipping in USAT. For some of you, this might be the first crypto that you've ever owned, and it's free. And once you use it, you'll understand the difference between accessing your money and actually owning it. Restrictions apply. There are a limited number of entries available. Terms and conditions apply. See the description or visit rumble.com/promo-official-rules for details.
And so this is a game of cat and mouse. But it's also a game of patience. And the president indicated to Fox News earlier today that he has no timetable. And this really flips the Iranian equation on its head, because the Iranians thought they could wait this out. They thought that the midterms would pressure President Trump to make a decision and pull U.S. forces out of the region.
What this is about.
But the president has indicated to Fox News he plans to keep the U.S. naval blockade in place. And this is increasing the economic pressure on the Iranian regime. Inflation is rising. The process of goods and actually exporting goods is decreasing. And the focus now is on the regime officials in Tehran and ensuring that they have fewer dollars to put toward their military and these efforts to try to threaten U.S. forces across the region.
There we go. This whole thing is political. You're watching a political full court press to try and make it look like Trump has not only destroyed the global economy, the country's economy, but he's also destroyed the U.S. military going into a midterm election cycle. Now, who do you think benefits from that type of propaganda? It's going to be America's enemies. It's going to be the communists inside of our country. You want to take it over and transform it. It's going to be those forces outside of our country that want to see us fail and lose. And fake news is twisting around what the admiral said. The admiral said he went to the Abraham Lincoln, he checked it out, he said it was awe-inspiring, and he wishes we could all see our heroes in action. And he says of the Navy's 11 active aircraft carriers, the Lincoln has among the lowest number of cases related to mental health. He then says he's long believed that mental health is just another aspect of individual health and requires our attention, just like physical health. And look at what the news is saying about that statement. Top Admiral praises sailors but concedes hardships. Top Admiral praises the crew amid reports of worsening conditions. Top Commander acknowledges mental health issues. So it's like people are turning this into this, there we go. They've just admitted Trump has failed. They've just admitted things are not working out. This wall of steel is a paper tiger. It's not doing anything. It's worthless. Trump is putting our military at risk. It's time to end this conflict. It's time for Trump to surrender. That's the message here going into a midterm election cycle, because what they know is that if this works out the way that it is, there's going to be freedom for the people of Iran. The global economy is going to quickly recover, and U.S. energy dominance is going to happen in a big way, a bigger way than anybody could have predicted before any of this started. And none of that has anything to do with America losing, which is what the communists need if they're going to take over. Watch.
Airstrikes, and who knows, who might. Around October, they're very familiar with our November elections. They'll start doing something more aggressive, more aggressive, more aggressive. Then when we answer, price of oil and gas go up, and it's going to hurt Republicans come the primaries. Because what he wants to do is diminish what they want to do is diminish President Trump's power, because he's the only one to ever confront them militarily. There's been sanctions, and there's been agreements, and there's been harsh words, but he's the only one to take them on directly after 47 years. And they want to do anything they can to make sure he's not president, or if he is president, make sure he does not have as much power. So that's what I worry about. They'll be able to dictate our elections unless we take them down before they can.
That's why we have to make it a national security issue. We cannot...
Look, Iran having a dangerous weapon, that is a national security issue for every single nation on earth. And I think the president has done a good job always reiterating that the number one priority here is that they will never have that capability. But what about this idea that Iran is going to rig the U.S. elections by storing up everything they can between now and October to try and create some black swan event that makes everyone doubt whether or not the president and his team are on the right track and whether peace will eventually come to the 91 million people living in Iran? What about that?
Well, certainly going to the end, so-called, of the 60-day window here is largely pro forma and symbolic. I mean, we went to the ceasefire on April the 7th and entered a diplomatic phase. And after 4 months of this, to include the agreement we had with the memorandum of understanding, which the Iranians blew up a few days after it, despite the fact that the president had signed it, it certainly telegraphed loud and clear to all of us once again that even if Iran makes a deal, they're not going to comply with it. And that's the evidence we have to date.
Yeah.
So I have been saying for a few weeks now that I think even though we're in this economic pressure campaign that we're executing, and what Secretary Bessent is doing is certainly remarkable. He's going the furthest we have ever gone in terms of opposing economic peril on the Iranians, in addition to the blockade we have. But I think where the Iranians are, they are going to ride this economic pressure out in their minds. They think they can withstand it. Even if their people rebel again, that is where these guys are. And they think they can outlast us in terms of the economic phase of this. At the same time, I have been saying, and I think the Wall Street Journal has picked up on it from their sources, that the Iranians likely, given the midterm elections are coming, will increase the volatility and violence in the area to demonstrate to the American people that the management of the war is not going good, because where are the Iranians coming from here? They pay huge attention to what happens in the United States and our political will, and they want to affect those elections. They don't want President Trump and the Republicans to maintain the control politically that they have. They would like to see the Democrats get some level of control over. I hate to get involved in politics, but I'm talking about where the Iranians are coming from, not.
And that tells you something. When you have a regime that has threatened our country for decades, and they're on the same team as the political party that wants to come into America with a new system of how we're going to run the country. They want to run it with communism. They want to reopen the border. When you've got an alliance like that, where both of these parties want the same thing, the choice for the American people is pretty clear. I think it's pretty clear what the right thing to do is at the ballot box, and what electing the wrong people are going to do, and how that's going to empower America's enemies on a world stage and make our country weaker. But listen to what President Trump could potentially do.
When you hear phrases like this, we're going on offense, one, that's a threat, and a lot of their threats are hollow. But I do think there is some substance to it, for the reasons I just stated.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt them.
It's likely we may see something here going forward. Now, the Iranians, they miscalculate time and time again in not understanding who our president is. Remember, first in 47 years to ever confront him militarily, and two, if they push in that direction, I suspect the president will come down very, very strong on them once and for all. So we'll see where we are here.
This is the part of the equation that a lot of us are missing. It's likely that Iran is going to do something because they're watching our political system. They've got an alliance with the political opposition party in America, the Democrat Party, which an alliance of objectives here. They want to reduce President Trump's power. They want to bring an end to this conflict quickly. They want America to spend its time worrying about other things instead of what they're up to. But what nobody can possibly predict is what President Trump is going to do. And the general's right. Every single time Iran has escalated in this conflict, they have miscalculated, and it has never worked out to their benefit. So if they go down this road, and if they do something in October, which is unprecedented and which is being predicted here, well, the other prediction is that the president is going to do something else that once again results in a major miscalculation for Iran. And that right there, that could change the direction of this conflict again in a way that nobody expects. But here's the other thing you got to understand. If Iran does something wild and there's some massive attack that they launch right around the midterms, there's going to be people in the Democrat Party in America that come out and cheer that and applaud it right before it's time for people to go vote. So they're going to be applauding the fact that America's enemy just attacked America or Israel or the Gulf allies or whoever, and they're going to be saying that America's lost and America's been defeated, and that's why they should come into power. That may not be received the way that they think it is going to be by people who have to go vote for things like law and order, a secure border, and a country that does not have adversaries around the world that are emboldened and strengthened and see our leaders as being weak and feeble-minded, who don't want to resist them, who instead want to appease them. What do you think about that? I'll see you in the next video.